Bihar is a migrant labor exporting state. Exactly, Andy.
The point is, will they sit on the fence or will they jump on the other side? Is that what you're saying?
I would call for a full boycott by every opposition party.
A Ghuspaik, as they call it, a Bangladeshi, a Rohingya, this whole labeling of the migrant. Welcome to Janashakti Network. It is a privilege and a pleasure to have Mr. Harsh Mandar, an activist, a rather tough activist who's taken on more causes than one can list at this point, and Jawhar Sircar. Both of them actually are from the Indian Administrative Service, but Jawhar Sircar has also been an MP in Parliament, but that is not his only qualification. He is a historian of cultural matters and has been speaking very clearly and in very tough language about the current row, political row. So let's get started, which is that elections, every time elections come around, or even before elections come around, the electoral rolls are revised. We all know that. We've all been through that process of making sure that our names are not deleted. But a special intensive revision is something that happens very rarely. And the last time it happened was in 2003, I think, or 2013. And 6 months, and all these things take time. Even today, all these things take time despite digitization. And therefore, a special intensive revision, which requires a completely different set of documents to prove where you're resident, where you will vote, and whether you're a citizen of India, is what makes this special intensive revision a very suspect process. And I'll put my suspicions right there on the line, which is that every opposition party has made their comments, their protests, their criticism of the SIR process known. The only party that has failed to do so is the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is why when I say that the process is suspect, it raises a question about why is this being done and for what benefit. So let's just get into this SIR. If you would start, Mr. Mandar, and then I'll go on to Jawhar.
See, I think that many things. We could spend hours just discussing the dangers of this very suspect process. But I think, firstly, the Election Commission is entirely empowered to look at the integrity of the electoral rolls. That's not in question. How do you do it? But it is not empowered to interrogate citizenship. That has been clearly defined in the law and clarified over and over again. And I would particularly draw attention to the Supreme Court. After the Babri Masjid, movement and the demolition and the riots in Bombay and so on, it was a very fraught time again. And once again, the Election Commission had initiated a process of identifying foreigners and had undertaken, and on a much smaller scale, in Mumbai, Bombay at that time, and in Delhi, it identified in Muslim majority areas and started investigating citizenship. And the Supreme Court was very clear. Its instructions were very clear. This is not your mandate. And yes, to verify citizenship, all that you need is a self affidavit of the person who you're in. If the person says I'm a citizen, you have to accept that that person is a citizen. It's not your job to interrogate it. Not only are they investigating citizenship, which they are not empowered to do under the law and the Supreme Court guidelines, they also have reversed the burden of proof, very much like they had done in Assam. Assam was a very particular case in the NRC where it is up to the person, the resident has to prove that he or she is a citizen on the basis of a whole range of records which most of us would not be able to gather. So that is the second problem. The third is that they're doing it with an extraordinary 1 month sort of window. Please understand that Assam took about 6 years to investigate about, I think about 3 crore voters.
Yes.
You're looking at 8 crore voters in 1 month without jurisdiction, with the reversal of burden of proof. There can be no doubt that the motivation is actually to disenfranchise. It's probably it is the largest process of disenfranchisement that I think any democratic country in the world has seen, and that is we're seeing that in motion at this time.
Jawhar, Ms. Nanda has sort of spelled out one part of it. What is your understanding of this SIR process? Where do you think why is it being done, and what is it leading up to in long term?
An intensive role revision is called for every 10-15 years, and it's been done, and we have also done it. Because we need to clean up the rules, as we call it, every now and then, with reference to a particular date. So there is no fault in that. What Harshmander has said is perfectly correct, that it is the motive, it is the modus that is suspect. Right from day one, when this process started, we noticed to our amazement and to our dismay that some of the long-standing certificates of residence, like the voter ID card that is given by the Election Commission itself, it's given by no authority other than the Election Commission. The EPIC card, as we used to call it, and the Aadhaar card, which was linked to the EPIC card at a few thousand crores of expenditure between 2015 and 2021. And several court cases also went.
9,000 odd crores.
It's a huge expenditure.
9,000 odd crores.
This gentleman who is now being called, people don't mince words in Delhi, what we call the Sanghi Ganesh. The Sanghi Ganesh has a long history of being over-associated with the Amit Shah and his actions. Sanghi Ganesh didn't even pretend that he was neutral. He went straight to the job and decided that he's going to implement the Citizenship Act or the citizenship rule, which is none of his business, as Harshmander has explained to you, and to delete, that's the best part, that's the worst part, disenfranchise people. I'll give a small example. In 2024, the same election commission went to town saying that they had 96.88 crore voters. Or am I saying the other way around? 98.6 crores. Whatever it is, they said that they had added 8 crores to the 2019 rolls. So with every election, with every roll revision, the number goes up. Small or large. This is the first time we have seen 66 lakh names being chopped off. Now, if you study the districts where they have been chopped off, you can, if you take a glass, a magnifying glass, you will see the reaction. Purnia, for instance. Purnia had in the Muslim population of something over 30%. And Purnia had a 12% off the head, 12% being chopped off. If you go through the rolls properly, you will realize that it is the Muslim mahallas, the Dalit mahallas, and others where the present regime in Bihar thinks that their votes may not come from, that have been targeted. Now, this sort of hand in glove operation between a completely biased election commission and I've seen election commissions act a little, well, this way or that way. It's not the first time. In fact, Sunil Kumar, one of my younger colleagues who became election commissioner or chief election, was quite ashamed. And we went quite openly about it. But this one is a scream. He's not ashamed. He's a scream. Sanghi Ganesh has gone around the job, and it is time. The courts also realize that despite a section of the courts, and I'm saying a section of the courts, acting well beyond their crease, telling us how to go get along with democratic behavior, telling the leader of the opposition what to do and all that, well beyond their remit. Even a section of the court, the what we call the central middle fair section, has said that we do not normally interfere with the election commission, but we will notice, we are taking watch. We are keeping watch to see what happens. What you do with your newfangled process. 66 lakh voters have been disenfranchised. The list has come down for the first time. So it is time to act. Time to act.
I think it is time to act. But the point is that the action will only, it can only be in the court, or it can be out in the streets. There is no third way in which there can be action, because it would be entirely stupid not to participate in an election or to boycott an election, because an election
not necessarily
taken so
not
to be ignored as a leverage and
not necessarily.
A way of making a
Sircar,
choice.
not necessarily. It's a difficult choice. It's a partly self-inflicting choice. But many nations who have gone through crisis, even the BNP in Bangladesh, over the years. After all, Hasina was carrying on her depredations. India chose to look the other way and land up in a hot soup now. Now, many nations, I remember even in Bengal, the left parties boycotted the assembly for quite some time.
They boycotted on the day of the election, not before.
On the day of the that sort of
thing.
If you
remember, Jyoti Babu came out of Barrackpur and said it. So that we have that.
So that's an instrument, nevertheless.
Yeah. Can I say that I fully agree with Jawhar Sircar on this? I believe that I don't think India's electoral process has faced this challenge, this scale of this level of disenfranchisement is unbelievable. I mean, we used to hear that in the last more recent elections, we used to hear that in Muslim muhallas, some people are finding their names missing, etc. But this is large scale disenfranchisement, and we only, in terms of democratic institutions, we only have the courts to turn to. I believe that the courts should have intervened and stopped the process. I mean, if the election commission is not entitled under law and its constitutional sort of remit to investigate citizenship, and it is doing it, it has to be stopped. And the fact that an election is just 1 month away, having not halted the process, as Jawhar Sircar said, they're saying we are watching. But to my mind, that is not enough, because the damage will be done. And you're talking about the faith that working class Indians have demonstrated in the electoral process, if that breaks down, then we will end up like Pakistan or Bangladesh, and so a great deal was at stake. When that is not possible, I think the only way I would call for a full boycott by every opposition party.
Okay, because Mr. Mandar, I have a feeling that it is at election time when voters know that they can make a choice, when they are wooed by by political parties, when this whatever the opposition may call it, or whoever wants to call it whatever, this cash for votes business, whatever it is, the fact is this is the only time when the poor, the marginalized, the powerless have some power and they are wooed. Why would they want to give that up?
So if it's a rigged field, it's
Yes.
a rigged field, and it's like a rigged roulette, a rigged lottery. Why participate in it and legitimize disenfranchisement, legitimize the illegitimate, legitimize unfairness? Why? So that's a question. We leave it open. We don't decide. The political parties will decide. We can only comment on them.
Sure, but I'm actually concerned about the person whose vote, whose leverage would therefore disappear.
I just taking off exactly from there. I feel right. If we go back in our history, the first general election that we organized with universal suffrage, the entire world was looking with great skepticism. Can a country with such large, so much illiteracy and so much poverty, are they going to even be able to handle an election? And we found that the people who retained the greatest faith in India's election process are those that India's democracy has most consistently let down. That's that's the great irony of our times. But I'm saying that if they see that the election process is so openly rigged and they lose faith, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy, beyond description. So I would much rather see them say it is rigged, so we are not participating, and we want a fair election to happen where our voice will matter.
Yeah, but the fair election is only the day of voting. The problem is with our electoral rolls and its linkage, as unfortunate as this linkage is, to the issue of migration. Now, out-migration from states like Bihar or Uttar Pradesh or West Bengal is happening all the time. And then to link it to an illegal immigrant, an infiltrator, a ghuspait as they call it, a Bangladeshi, a Rohingya, this whole labeling of the migrant and the language in which the migrants speak, and their culture and their habits, including their food habits and their clothing, has become such a politically sensitive, touchy issue that today we have somebody actually saying that the Bangladeshi language, I mean, what is happening with our understanding of ourselves is a question that we need to raise. Mr. Mandar.
So let Jawhar come in, please.
I'll put it this way. That Bihar is a migrant labor exporting state. Number one. Bihar is not a migrant labor importing state. So it was the wrong place to play football. Yes, there may be little streams of migrants into Bihar, nevertheless, for skills sets that are not readily available. But the bogey that they are Rohingya, they did that in Jharkhand as well, if you remember.
Yeah, that's right.
Before the Jharkhand.
That's right.
is simply a bogey. It's simply a bogey. I've been questioning the government over this in Parliament and beyond, and the only figure they have dished out somewhere from their cookery book is the figure given by Rijiju in 2016, saying it's 2 crores, without even telling you how he has estimated it. Now let's look at reality. After 3.5 months of sustained anti-Bengali, I'm sorry to use the word term, but that is exactly what's happened. No Bengali was spared. I mean, no migrant Bengali. They didn't touch the middle class. They didn't touch the educated class. But any
The working
migrant
class.
laborer who happened to come from Bengali working class, after targeting them from Kashmir to Kanyakumari at the direct orders of Amit Shah, and this has got nothing to do with elections till at that point. They, after 3 months of making them go through hell, they could locate, according to their estimate, something like 1,500 illegal migrants. Now that's stupidity. The number of illegal migrants is larger. Everybody knows it. It's larger. The question is, the illegal migration is taking place through your BSF guarded borders, number one. Number two, where illegal migrants is concerned, the problem is universal. And as the American statistics of 2024 revealed, 95,000 illegal Indians were stopped at the borders, out of which exactly half are termites. The word, I'm sorry, has been invented by Amit Shah, are termites from his state. Termites from his state accounting. So while Amit Shah keeps playing Bengalis on this side for want of any other better punching bag, his state revels in exporting semi-literate people to set up shops in the US as illegal immigrants. So illegal immigrant is a point that's well taken. There are illegal immigrants in India. Nobody decides, but there must be a fair process where the person is given a chance. It's
No, I
very
think,
difficult.
Jawhar, if I may interrupt, I think with the onus of proving that you are an illegal immigrant does not rest with the illegal immigrant, it rests with the police.
It rests with the police, but the police being police headed. The police headed, not now from prehistoric times, being police headed. It's
Of
best to
course.
have a counterweight. Best to have a counterweight to it with adequate proof. With adequate
No,
proof.
no,
So
this is exactly the point, Jawhar, that every document, if you look at the Bihar SIR process, then every document is suspect. They rejected Aadhaar or voters e-pick, as you called it, as proof. They've said that these documents could be forged. Now they want you to put in a domiciliary certificate. Now you can buy domiciliary certificates in this country. What's the big deal?
No,
okay, I wanted to say something.
Absolutely. It should be the state, as the Supreme Court had clarified in the 1994 judgment. Your presumption has to be that their names are in the voter list, means that they are citizens, and if you feel that they have presented false, it's for you to prove that they're not citizens. That is what they have reversed that, and they reversed it in Assam, as I said. But the Election Commission has also reversed it, which is completely unlawful. That is number one. Number two is that India has not signed the Refugee Convention, and it's something that I mean, Nehru was such a significant international statesperson, but we did not sign. So under Indian law, we actually don't recognize the category of refugee. We don't recognize the category of asylum seekers. We recognize only the category of illegal immigrants. Now that is hugely problematic again. That was problematic enough, but now you have the CA, where you have said that if you're undocumented and you're an illegal immigrant, but you are of any religion except Muslim, we will accept you as a citizen. So it's so openly targeted. The whole law and process is targeted in finding some way or the other of treating Bengali speaking Muslims as effectively what have they done? They have created a sense of fear and dread in the heart of every Muslim in this country. We don't know when they will turn against us. They've created fear and in the hearts of all Bengalis who are outside their state. And if you're both Bengali and Muslim, then you're in desperate fear. And we're seeing, for me, perhaps one of the lowest points in India's public life is when the day the planes flew out to Pakistan after Pahalgam. That very day they round up 40 plus Rohingya people here. They take them into a detention center without telling their families. They put them on a plane, take them to Port Blair, put them in a naval ship, put a blindfold on them, tie their hands behind their back, take them and throw them into the sea close to Myanmar, where they had every chance of being either killed or put into detention. That's not how a state believes. We must understand and underline that pushback is an unlawful process. If somebody you feel is an illegal immigrant, you have to then negotiate with the state, the country from which you claim that person belongs, and then you do a formal process of deportation. You're pushing back. You're actually saying, I don't have proof. I don't care about proof. And you have somebody like the Assam Chief Minister actually announcing that I'm not going to obey the constitution. I'm not going to obey the law. I mean, he's in a constitutional position and he's doing that. And I was in Bengal recently. People were describing how, they're not bringing them to Bengal to push them into Bangladesh. They're taking them to Tripura or Assam because they're BJP ruled states. And there they're pushing them. And you're suddenly picked up from some corner of the country. You're put on a plane, you're taken to the borders of Tripura and pushed across by no lawful process. And how can we tolerate this happening in our country? It's just, I do feel that we've entered into a phase of state lawlessness and state cruelty of a kind that we haven't seen before.
That is a very strong statement, Mr. Nanda.
Yes,
And I'm happy that you made it, because we have given rule of law. We have said to ourselves the rule of law no longer matters. What we
Yes.
say is the law. Jawhar? Jawhar,
You see,
can you-
Harshmander has explained the entire process very. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, we
Yeah,
can
we
hear
can.
you. We can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
you can be heard. You can be heard.
Ah,
You can be heard.
Okay.
We can
Now,
hear you.
Harshmander has explained the process. Okay. Harsh has explained the process that's going on, the complete breakdown of the rule of law, and state-inspired terror and gundaism of a fascist variety. That's the nearest we can come to. It's explained. But let me explain one more fact. Till you implement the completely irregular, unjustified 2023 citizenship rules, till you implement the citizenship rules that you are not able to implement because of the backlash, there are at least 2 to 3 crore Hindu refugees. That's a word we use here. In South Bengal, along the borders, we call them, most of them are Matuas, who are as illegal as immigrants, as Muslim immigrants further up are. There is no legal difference between the two. So if you are deporting illegal immigrants, you cannot pick and choose somebody who's a Muslim because you don't like it, because it serves your communal purpose. You'd also have to have the fairness to deport Hindu refugees as well. We call them refugees here, and we call them illegal infiltrators because if their religion is different. Bengal is a classic case study where 2 MPs, actually 2.5 MPs, win because of this illegal immigrant vote. And one of them is a minister One of them is a minister also. And he openly says, as he comes every time to Bengal, the Bhaiyo or Beno, we will get a legit thing coming soon. And that's been going on for the last 10 years. Amit Shah visits it every now and then and mouths his lines. When you talk of international scale of illegal immigration, and if you take America as a case study, more than half would be only from 2 states. And the 2 states where the torture on Bengali Muslim immigrants has been the highest are the greatest contributors to smuggling donkey route illegal immigrants into America. So they have, it's not only not fair, they are criminally involved. The criminal involvement of certain groups in this operation abroad matches well with the criminality of their intentions in terrorizing people with legitimate papers in India. The same criminality pervades both. That's it.
So you are suggesting that this is a political criminal nexus which is at work.
It's a criminal. It's criminal because when you want me to define the word criminal, I can get into this Biswa Sarma of Assam. He has a litany of criminal charges against him. His behavior on a daily count calls for cognizance under the law. But terror is so high that people don't take cognizance. The court can't take so much cognizance of his behavior. He is one of those shameless, unquote, neo-fascist. He plays to the gallery, he breaks down Muslim colonies almost every month, without giving them a chance.
Yes.
He is indulging in state-sponsored terror for ages. So we cannot get into this. So let us come back to the mainstream topic. There are Bengali illegal immigrants, if you describe them as illegal immigrants. Okay, fair enough. There are processes in which you can pick them up through fairly without using the lathi or other humiliating techniques. And if you can select the lot, God be with you. And so if the law of the land says so, it is there. But one part of the law of the land, the latest amendment to the citizenship law, is patently unconstitutional. Patently unconstitutional. It has been passed by a supine high court. It has been allowed by an indulgent Supreme Court. But that does not make it legitimate at all. That's it.
Okay.
No law can discriminate to that extent. Yes.
Well, I think we are all agreed that the law is discriminating, and the law as legislated is discriminating, and as you called it, the courts have been very indulgent. Now, if the situation SIR, let me get back to SIR and how this connects, is that SIR has been piloted in Bihar, a state, as you pointed out, where there are more migrants out of Bihar than into Bihar. But this SIR, the Election Commission has already said, will be unrolled in other states, including in West Bengal. So we are anticipating that West Bengal will be in turmoil.
That is the whole idea. The idea was Bihar was net practice. Everyone knew that Bihar doesn't have illegal immigrants of any worthy scale worth noticing, because Bihar is migrant labor exporting state. So Bihar was only net practice to see what the reactions are, and if the Sanghi Ganesh can get away with it, and if the courts continue to remain indulgent and be selective in upbraiding opposition leaders, which woe betide our nation and the constitution, then Sanghi Ganesh will try it in Bengal also. Now, Bengal will not be a walkover,
because these are the two elections which are coming up.
In Bihar, you have a collusive administration. In Bengal, the administration, even if it's neutral, is being egged on by a chief minister who's often crossing the crease, and using veiled threats, saying that don't you dare. I mean, that also is quite unfair. She has no right to comment. She can say that the process is wrong, but where the implementing machinery of the block level officer is concerned, no government, whether in Bengal or in Tamil Nadu or in Kerala, can issue threats to government officers and semi-government officers. That's not fair. Let them go by the
So,
book.
Mr. Mama, how do you see this playing out? Because elections are due in West Bengal, a state where this Bangladeshi infiltration issue is very significant, has become very politically significant, as it has become in Assam. So we are going to face two states going in for the election where the SIR issue is going to play itself out. So what we are going to see is the disenfranchisement of more voters. And this disenfranchisement has two implications. One, on the right to work wherever in any part of the country, and then this disempowerment of the voter herself. I mean, why should you disempower the voter? What right does anybody have to disempower one?
So I think we are at a very, very dangerous moment in the journey of our republic. I mean, we're moving towards something that is kind of make and break situation. I think Jawhar Sircar, with much moral and political courage, has laid out the dangers. I would just like to add a little bit. What is citizenship? Ultimately, Hannah Arendt said citizenship is the right to have rights.
Yes.
What you're actually doing is when you are making people stateless and non-citizens, you are depriving them of the right to have rights at all. And already, I think India's Muslims have already entered that zone. So I can call for genocide of Muslims, and I'll probably get a party position, become a minister tomorrow. I can the lynching cases that we are pursuing. We've seen how the entire legal process is completely subverted. So I'll demolish your homes with no process, etc. So we've already pushed India's Muslims into a zone where they don't have the right to have rights. But this is the ultimate, where you're not even giving them the right to vote. So that is sort of and the CA. Mr. Amit Shah said very clearly, chronology ab samajhiye, and we're going to bring the CA, and then we'll have the NRC. The country rose up in an unprecedented way, the biggest civil disobedience movement that the country has seen after independence. COVID came in and rescued the government. It has sort of hesitated in restarting the NRC, but the Election Commission is now taking on that role, and effectively it will be doing the NRC. And I work very closely in Assam. The amount of human distress just to collect those documents, people have gone through. And the fear of the detention center, the fear of expulsion, people have committed suicide. It is so reckless and so cruel to unleash this in a much more compressed period of time. But you're making it very clear. We're only really after only the Muslims, and the CA will protect the rest. I mean, it's what they're doing to this country, the dangers that they're placing the future of our republic in. And if the courts just, what was the word Jawhar used? Indulgent. The courts just indulgent.
Business as usual.
Business as usual.
Business as usual.
History will not forgive.
Well, history is being made. Therefore, I don't know when history is going to begin the process of punishing anyone. But to get back to something that's very interesting that you pointed out, the process of disenfranchising people. Now, is that going to really stop at just one community, or is it, as we are seeing in Bihar, it is not stopping at one community, it is extending beyond that. It is extending into constituencies which, as Jawhar was telling us, where the BJP is very vulnerable, where the BJP would like to um, would like to be able to manipulate the votes. Now, this is something on an entirely different scale. Therefore, today it's one community, tomorrow it will be others. Is that where we are going?
Yes, and they have gerrymandered constituencies. You have to understand that this fellow Sarma of
The gerrymandered booths. I know they have gerrymandered booths.
they have changed. Sarma has, in collusion with the central government and the election commission, redrawn the map of Assam in such a manner that the pockets where his opposition was strong have been cut into pieces and tagged with places where his people are stronger, so that there can be no victory at all. This sort of thing itself has been a surgical murder of the democratic process. You have to understand one thing, in spite of whatever we are discussing the symptoms of the disease, of the ailment,
Not the
of the
disease
process,
itself.
and the disease or the process of the sick minds is to carry out terror so that it masks their real intentions of having a capital profit state that is distracted, that inequalities, inequities, and certain many other citizen issues are lost sight of, and they unleash terror as a part of state policy. And Gaza, to them, the Gazaization of the world, is their ultimate objective. The Gaza Holocaust is some sort of a thrilling end or target to them. Far from shame, the Gaza views the destruction, the Gazaization of the world is their thing. So we are up with a bunch of criminal politicians, whatever they, and the right, whether here or in America or ever, the right is always composed of these blackjacks. These blackjacks have the soul of the right. The lumberjacks, these are the soul. The rednecks have been the soul of the right. So what you see is just an expression, an expression that comes out once here in the SIR, then that comes out in CAA, then it comes out in NRC, then it comes out in lynching, then it comes out in the poisonous effect of a constable moving along a moving train to Jaipur and shooting down Muslims selectively. So these are all expressions that emanate from a sick mind. And it is the mind that we have to tackle by first wading into the territory that is already under hypnotic control, but not fully. And to explain to them that it is they who suffer. So we also have a duty, people who have taken upon ourselves the task of confronting a vicious government. In fact, I have taken on two vicious governments, not one. But never mind. We have to also get on with it. It's the same struggle all the world over.
Okay, but I really do want, Ms. Miller, if you could just try to answer this question. Will disenfranchisement be limited to just one community, or is it going to go beyond? Because once you start a process like this rolling, anyone who you think is not going to vote for you then becomes vulnerable to disenfranchisement.
See, I woke up this morning to news. I mean, the Assam Chief Minister continues to. I mean, I feel that there's some chief ministers who have gone rogue. You know, and the Assam Chief Minister is certainly one of them. He has just announced this morning that we will only retain those cases in the Foreigners Tribunal which are against Muslims. He's actually said that.
Yes.
Now, if you're going to have that kind of brazenness see, the Foreigners Tribunals, the whole Assam process, there was this whole build-up that crores of people are illegal immigrants and so on and so forth. They went through a process which was hugely biased against the individual, and in a very painful process, they still could identify only 19 lakh people without documents, of which only 4 lakhs were Muslim. You see, and all the other 19 minus 4 were not Muslim, and that is why everything has come to a halt. And then they brought in the CA. They're sort of struggling with its implementation. Every vulnerable citizen is vulnerable, and people talk on the ground of huge amounts of money being sought. In my work with homeless people, homeless people have no document, except their bodies. How are they ever going to prove anything about any? A child has run away from home at the age of 6. How is he ever going to prove his citizenship? We are entering into an arena. A disabled blind woman in a village, living alone. How is she ever going to prove her citizenship? What are we doing to our most vulnerable citizens? It's frightening. Just the scale of the scale of the imagination of cruelty and criminality that Jawhar spoke about so eloquently. I really have nothing more to add to it. We are in a very dangerous place, and whether they ultimately succeed in disenfranchising, time will tell. But they have succeeded already in putting mortal fear of disenfranchisement in millions of hearts and minds in this country. That's what they've succeeded in doing. I live in Gurgaon. People are terrified. Everyone is running away somewhere. Now, the CM of Bengal is saying, we'll give you all work in Bengal. If there was work in Bengal, why would they leave? Where are they going to go?
Oh, just now I got a flash because I'm talking to you through my mobile. I just got a flash and they keep dropping it. That Supreme Court has asked the ACI for an explanation on 66 lakh voters deletion. Has asked.
So
just now,
so that's one step in the positive.
Maybe they're going through the motions because the section of the court appears to have made up its mind. While we expect the large traditional mainstream of the Supreme Court to behave like a Supreme Court of Justice.
I worry that what the Supreme Court is, I've been seeing a pattern, is that they will, when pulled to the corner, they will sort of make appropriate noises of disagreement, etc. But they're not going to reverse the process. So we had the whole electoral bond process, but what did it yield? The party still went with all of that money and fought their elections and won their seats. So my fear is that they cannot not describe what is happening as unlawful. But are they going to stop it?
Exactly, Andy.
The point is, will they sit on the fence or will they jump on the other side? Is that what you're saying?
All the horses have already bolted and they're still sitting on the fence.
Yeah,
please.
History will not forget, and history will not forgive those who colluded.
Yeah, but before before everything becomes history, we have to deal with it now and here, and deal with it as best as we can. And therefore, thank you very much for the clarity which you have brought to analyzing the issues and helping the average person to understand what is at stake and what needs to be done. Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jawhar. Thank you, Mr. Mandar.
Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to stay updated with the latest incidents. Hit the bell icon to never miss an update. We will see you next time with more news that matters. Stay informed, stay safe.